Oh, g'day guys. Just previewing the Wednesday night meeting on the 5th of December. 8 races, rail back in the true, soft 5 at the moment. It's about 5 o'clock Tuesday evening. Weather's meant to be good for 24 hours up to the meeting. I think it's meant to be 24 and sunny tomorrow, and generally when that's the case, back on pristine ground, track has been leaderish, but track's always been a bit that way anyway, so I think we can sort of bet on sort of good 4, with probably, if forced to suggest one way, the leader's slightly advantaged, but must admit there's not too much value that stands out for me, but I'll run through them race by race. In the first, I've got the bet 365 markets up here. I think there's 2 primary chances here in the form of Motown Blues and Jack's Choice. Motown Blues is the one I've got on top. I think the claim really helps. If you just have a look through a form, you know, like winner benchmark 58, she won 3 runs back, absolutely bolted in actually. Then chased home 2 of the best sprinters in the state in Tough Missile and Apriano. And last week actually won a benchmark 64. You can see here she won the 1200 carrying 56. With the claim, she gets in with 58 here. It's going to be on speed. So making her own luck. She's the one. Jack's Choice was good in a slightly stronger race last time as well, but draws the outside, which is probably the one query. So I just think about $5. I'll be very surprised that holds up with Motown Blues. So I do think one of that duo wins. So Motown Blues in the first. In the second, tough race is 1400. Border Protection had something on at big odds last time and ran very well in a pretty hot race. Think one thing I'm slightly concerned about here, there does look to be a bit of heat early in this race. One here that I was actually very taken with its trial is Taylor the Fox, first up for 8 and none. 1400 first up, sort of a little bit out of left field, but as I mentioned, really did like the trial. Drawn barrier 2, fair bit of heat in the race. Can see it posing up 5th or 6th in the run, and might be the one with fresh legs late. So forced to pick one, so it's a toughish race. You said you got horses here that, Cape Cardinal drawn out wide, GT Tip drawn inside, Bunker Star, like the Lady Winnett, Posh Pursuit, they'll all be pushing forward. So from gate 2, should be getting the right sort of run. Taylor the Fox. So something on the Fox in race 2. In the third, I was pretty keen needs more last time. Gets out to 1400, looks ideal. Imagine she probably sits a bit closer here as well. Got her on top. Not wrapped in the price, I must say. Actually, Gracious was a lot better last time. Like, do far worse have something each way at those type of odds. But there's a few here with like Zippin Ace, Super Honest, Iona. Glass Warriors, tad disappointing last time, and Shady Hustle comes through a race in Hobart where the form didn't look real crash hot on paper, but has actually stood up quite well. So probably one of the bottom 2, and Gracious at a bit of odds. In the fourth, pretty thin race this. I've settled on Kaiserini, I think it's pronounced. $2.80, not giving much away there, but really liked her debut run. She's totally unwanted in betting. I might just actually cue the replay up. Alright, so here's Kaiserini here. So you can see you've got Tegan Key stable colours. Only a tiny little thing, but
another attempt.
Draws in close here, and you can see slightly slow to begin on the inside. And Oops, we'll just go back a little bit. Sorry. Yeah, so if we just watch it from, so you can see it's worked off the inside here. You know, sort of a little bit untractable around the corner, and you see is that Needs a More here is favourite in race 3. And this is on debut. You know, and if you look at the top 3 horses here, the first 2 are going around in the 3-year-old Cup, and you see her hitting the line here. You know, full of merit first up. You think she derives some natural improvement. And the other thing I like, Senior Jockey On, I reckon's a big plus. Has looked a bit green there, so do think she wins. GG's Bulldog did trial okay and does have form around some pretty handy horses last time in, so definitely the worry, but any sort of improvement from the debut run, and you'd imagine Kaiser Rennie, you know, be very surprised if she gets beaten with even luck. In the 5th, which is the 3-year-old Cup, it's always been one of my favourite races. Have to admit, the way the yearling sales go nowadays, a lot of the better youngsters get cherry picked and head into state, so don't tend to get the depth in fields. But whilst we have a standout favourite here in GG's Second Over, there's still some very handy horses here. You know, look, the inevitable, 1200's obviously not his cup of tea, but he looks a serious horse. Ravage actually won that last replay race that we showed, and did a fair bit wrong in the run too, so I think horse with a lot of potential. Appraise, they actually went, if you just went, it and a horse called Kauai were sort of favourites in a much easier race last time, and they did bring themselves undone by going very quickly early in that race and setting it up for swoopers. So you imagine ridden a bit quieter, might find the line. Tiesto not resumes without a trial and no potting him in all. I just think under the set weights and penalties doesn't get in very well at all, sort of giving GG Second Over 2 lengths and the rest of them 3. And even if we look at the bolters of the field here, like GG Winnett will be on speed, so will a tad more, both super consistent. But the 2 bolters will probably be Bullion Fringe and Blackberry Rose, and both smashed the clock the other day. It's hard to poke any holes in GG Second Over's form, like 7 starts, 3 wins, 4 seconds. 3 of those seconds to a Mystic Journey. The only thing, if you want to poke a hole in, last win was in a 3-horse field. Overall time was very average. Sectionals were pretty average, but was also very soft in doing it. But you know, that's just if you're forced to try and poke holes in it. The inevitable, I'd probably go 2, 5, 3 and 4, forced to put them in order. So the 6th, very even lot here. A lot will depend on how the track's playing. Sav's Finale's obviously super honest. You can see obviously his last 7 starts, draws well. Well, yeah, Happy Halloween just has a super record when Siggy Carr rides him. Like, thinks he's had 17 rides for 6 wins and 6 seconds. So if we take that out, means horse has had 18 starts for 2 seconds and 2/3. So just has a bit of an affinity with Siggy on. Hasn't been too bad since resuming. You know, just in an even race. So I just think if he improves a length or so with her hopping on, then definitely going to be right in the mix. But you can make a case for a number of them in that race. So, but forced to pick one, I'd opt with Happy Halloween. The 7th, Over the Mile, benchmark 64. I think there's 2 major players here in the form of Axion and Payon. Obviously Axion hasn't really, you know, like obviously look at his figure form and sort of bridesmaid a lot of the time. Last win was actually same grade, carrying 59, I think it was. Yeah. So benchmark 64 came in 59, beating a couple of very handy horses in this grade in Ballastrand and Westerly Hayes. And form around's been good. The other one, Pay On, I've just been unbelievably strong at the end of both his mile races. Gives the impression that when he steps out over even further, it's going to be his cup of tea as well. You know, sectionals have been very good late. Like GG Black Prince won a race last week that I've got huge doubts about the form of it. You know, I think they went like 15 lengths slower the first 1,000 metres than they did in the mile maiden. And the leaders actually held on in the mile maiden as well. So, yeah, you know, when they run races like that, it turns them into lotteries. So, just want to see him do it again, as he's always mixed his form a bit. I just think with the 2 kilo advantage in the weights, Pay On, I'll opt his way. Actually pretty keen, but the one thing I just want to make sure horses can run on first of all prior to launching in. But you know, very promising stayer, and and just with the, you know, you can have horses like Argolite, LeConte, you know, they'll be pressing forward, King Manu even. So I think there'll be enough tempo to allow him to run on. So happy to be on. Actually, I'll just go to the odds there. So actually, you can see the Inevitable's already been 750 into 420. So somebody's obviously got a bet 365 account. You know, Happy Halloween. Yep, Sav's Finale. So you can see Pay On's already been 4 into 360. And in the last, Apmat's probably the one. Always struggle a bit with these distance races. They are a very even lot, as evidenced by the market. Apmat's probably going to be the one in front. And with the claim, gets in a lot, you know, 3 kilo claim. You're certainly going to be the one to run down, because the weight scale means not carrying actually probably gets in a tad better than recent wins as well. So yeah, Apmat, you're forced to pick one in the last. So as I mentioned, there's not too many that I'm overly keen on at any value. Like, I do like race 4, Kaiser Rini. Also keen on Pay On in the 7th. I actually might just go and grab the replay of his past couple. Alright, so Pay On. Just have a look at the last couple of starts. So
Unit comes in.
These are his first 2 goes at the mile. He's carrying the pink with the dark stars. So he's gets back to last here. So last on the outside. Trials Manalenia is a pretty handy horse in her own right. So you can see him here. They'd walked early. And you're just seeing it warmed up late here. Big fella, long strides. So, and previous win, I think he actually, Black Prince was in this race at Elwick.
Almost right.
So here he is back on the inside in the same pink colours. Here's Black Prince out wide. Oops, we'll just go back. So you can see, just pushes through the middle here. This is his first go at the mile. Was jumping from 1200 to 1600. You just see how strong he is on the line in both of these races. So here's Black Prince outside him. You see what I mean about being exciting staying prospect him. So very happy to be on him. And at the price, probably the other one I'd definitely be backing, recommend backing, is Motown Blues in the first. You know, $5. You know, like as I mentioned, she's virtually, you know, 2 kilo claim. She's only carrying 2 kilos more than she carried 3 runs back over the same track and distance. Absolutely bolted in. Form since then's actually been better. So instead of like she won a benchmark 64 last time, back to a benchmark 58. Has the speed to take up an early position. So if there is any leader bias, yeah, and I just think $5 about her, well worth a bet as well. So they're the ones. So just recapping then: race 1, number 3, Motown Blues. Race 2, something on Taylor the Fox. As I said, it's very taken with his trial. Race 3, and the other thing about Taylor the Fox, first up, I think off from that trial you can follow him right through that campaign. Race 3, it was Needs More. I'm not super confident, but I think it'll probably settle a bit closer. That's probably the one thing that tips me over, but Gracious at $21 is well worth a bet as well. Kaiser Rennie, or yeah, no doubt slaughtered the name, but pretty confident that she'll run very well. Second Over's the one, but I think the inevitable is probably, if this race was 1400, I'd probably be in his corner. So I don't think there's too much in it, but as always, it'll be a super form race for some of these. Going to run 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th and step into a weaker race soon and be something to bet on. Something on Happy Halloween, just with the Siggy Car affinity with him. Pretty keen pay on in the 7th. You see, I just think there's a lot of thin races with 2 to 3 chances, and at Matt in the last, just because he's going to be on speed. So that's them, and the 3 that we've picked out: Motown Blues, Kaiser Rennie, and pay on in races 1, 4 and 7. So anyway guys, I might wrap it up there. So is a Devonport meeting on Friday, so I'm not sure what I'm up to the next couple of days, but I'll try and pop something up. If not, I'll just tweet something anyway. So anyway, until next time, we'll leave you with it. Cheers guys.